I still can't drive past that old processing plant on the edge of Gary, Indiana without my hands shaking on the wheel. It was just a night shift job at Midwest Alloy Processing, checking gauges and valves in the cooling section. Nothing fancy. But that fog rolling off the towers, it made everything feel wrong. I keep telling people it was probably some prick playing games, but I don't believe that anymore. Something out there knew my routines better than I did. My name is Harlan Voss. I started there in late October 2024. Needed the money bad after the divorce cleaned me out. Third shift paid decent, and the plant was always hiring. First couple weeks were normal. Clock in, do rounds, clock out. I got along fine with most guys. There was Kip Delaney. He was the friendly type, always talking about the Colts game or whatever. Showed me where the good coffee was kept in the break room. Seemed like a regular dude. Then came the first heavy fog night, around November 8th or 9th. I pulled into the lot at 10:40 p.m. Headlights turned the mist bright white like driving through soup. The cooling towers were dumping steam so thick, the whole parking area disappeared. My truck radio went full static the second I shut off the engine. Just hissed loud. I sat there listening to it for a minute before I grabbed my lunchbox and headed in. Next day, opening my locker, there was a sticky note inside. Check valve B17 before startup. Plain handwriting. I figured Kip left it. That valve had been finicky all week. I thanked him later. He just shrugged, said he didn't know anything about it. Couple nights later, another note. Don't forget your steel toes tonight. Floor's wet. Helpful again. I laughed, told Kip he was like my mom. He grinned big. Man, you're leaving yourself notes now? That's funny. Then the notes got personal. One said, you grab the hazelnut creamer packet every shift at 1:20. I read it twice. Yeah, I do that. Every time. Nobody ever commented on it before. I asked Kip in the locker room if he was screwing with me. He laughed hard. Harlan, come on. Somebody's messing around. Probably that kid from Merrillville. City guys think pranks are cool. I let it go, but I felt uneasy. Supervisor Ray Turnbull was no help. Big guy, always spitting tobacco in a bottle. I showed him a couple notes. He looked, then said, relax, kid. Fog makes everybody jumpy. Happens every winter. Just do your job and stop worrying. After that, little things started going wrong. My respirator would be hung on the wrong peg. A safety latch on the east catwalk left unclipped. One wrong step and somebody falls. Nothing huge, but enough to write me up if they wanted. One shift, the pressure gauge on Tower C dropped for no reason. I reported it. Maintenance blamed moisture messing with the wires. Union rep said, log it, Harlan. That's all we got. Kip switched to day shift suddenly. No explanation, just gone one night. Notes stopped right after. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. A few weeks later, I opened my locker and found a Polaroid. Me asleep in my truck during lunch break. Head tilted back, mouth open a little. Date stamp was November 12th. One of those foggy nights I napped in the lot instead of walking to the break room. My truck was parked way back where the lights barely reached. Nobody should have seen me. I stared at the photo until my eyes hurt, shoved it in my jacket pocket, looked around. Locker room was empty. Next shift, another picture. Me walking from the building to my truck. Hard hat off, phone in hand. Fog thick as hell. I don't remember anyone nearby. I started locking my doors even when I was sitting in the truck. Wore my hard hat in the lot with the strap tight. Felt dumb, but I didn't care. Told my buddy Marcus about it over the phone one morning. He said, get a dash cam, man. cheap on Amazon. I ordered one. Took forever to arrive. The fog kept coming back. Every few nights it rolled in heavy. Visibility dropped to almost zero. Radios crackled with static. Guys made jokes about monsters in the mist, but the laughs sounded forced. One night I was on the West Tower platform checking levels. All good. I turned and saw a dark shape standing maybe 30 yards out in the white. Just there. Not moving. I called, "Hey!" Nothing. Took a step forward. It vanished. I told myself it was another worker walking through. But my legs felt shaky going down the stairs. More photos showed up. Me eating a ham sandwich in the truck. Me scrolling my phone. Always from outside. Always foggy. I stopped napping in the lot. Drove the 40 minutes home even when I was dead tired. Got pulled over once on Route 65 for drifting. Cop asked if I was okay. I said, yeah, just the fog messing with me. He gave me a warning and let me go. Went to HR with the pictures. Lady there, Ms. Whitaker, looked at them, frowned. We'll investigate, Harlan. Could be a co-worker or someone sneaking on property. She typed some notes. Later, I got an email. Employee stress concern documented. Follow-up review in 30 days. 30 days. Like I could wait that long. I parked under the brightest lights after that. Still got photos. One shift, I found 3 in my locker at once. Me getting out of the truck. Me heading inside. Me coming back out later. Talked to Ray again. He sighed heavy. Harlan, you're solid, but you're letting this eat you up. Take a couple nights, rest. I didn't take them. Bills don't wait. Worst night was December 18th. Fog was choking everything. I sat in my locked truck before shift, staring at the white wall outside. Radio static loud. Then I heard gravel crunching. Slow steps coming closer. I slid down in the seat. Felt sick to my stomach. Steps stopped right by my door. Something tapped the glass. Light, like a finger knuckle. I didn't look, just waited. After a long minute, nothing. I peeked. Empty fog, went inside anyway. Did rounds on autopilot. Around 2 a.m. had to cross the north catwalk. Stairs slick. Fog so dense I couldn't see the other side. Halfway over, I saw the shape again. Closer now. Standing at the far railing, watching. I yelled, "Who the fuck is out there?" Voice cracked bad. No movement. I backed up careful. Foot slipped once. Caught the rail, made it to the stairs and ran down. Locked myself in the control room shack, grabbed the radio. Security, anybody copy? Static. Tried again. Static. Sat there until the sky lightened and the fog thinned. No footprints when I checked. Nothing. I quit the next afternoon. Told them family stuff came up. They didn't argue. Still got the photos in a shoebox under my bed here in Hammond. Don't open it much. But some nights when the porch light hits the window weird, I think I see a shadow standing out by the curb. I tell myself it's headlights or whatever, but I know. Sometimes I still hear that soft tap on glass. Just once, then quiet. The fog was not just weather that night. It covered everything and hid small things that belonged to me. It made the world soft and quiet, and what came with it changed how I sleep now. My name is Jonar Keel. I work late near the river in Cleveland. One night I stayed to finish a report and missed the last express. I left my hoodie in my desk drawer because I was warm. I locked it. I remember the office light buzzing. I walked to the cracked bus shelter. The bench wobbled and the light flickered. Fog rolled in from the river and swallowed sound. The bus was 40 minutes late. 2 people got on. One breathed too loud and kept turning his head. I sat behind the driver like I always do. The fog made everything look like a blur. At my stop, the streetlights were haloed, and I could barely see the curb. I stepped off and heard footsteps behind me. I thought it was the other rider. When I looked back, the person had my hoodie over their arm. It was the same hoodie I had locked in my desk. I saw the small tear and the tag. The fog hid their face. I felt my hands move without thinking. I ran home. My apartment is above a deli. The floorboards creak when my cat Pill runs. I forgot to take the trash out that night, so the kitchen smelled a bit when I opened the door. I checked the drawer and the hoodie was there. Then I saw a hoodie on my chair. It smelled like cigarette smoke and the bus shelter. I stood there and it did not make sense. After that, I found prints. On foggy mornings, a pair of shoe prints walked up the path and stopped at my door. They matched the tread of a shoe I had seen on the late bus. I called the police. Officer Weller came and said, "Probably kids." He seemed busy. He left a form and a shrug. I felt silly and watched the prints. I did small things to feel safer. I put a lamp by the door and left it on. I rehearsed where I would run. I imagined hiding Pill if someone came in. I know a chair against the door is not a lock, but I used one once because it made me feel ready. One night, the prints came again. The door handle twisted hard like someone testing it. The chain rattled. I held my phone like a light and peered through a gap. A shape stood in the fog. No face I could make out. The hoodie lay across the person's arm again. They held it out and said, "You left this." Their fingers had dirt under the nails and they smelled like smoke. I muttered, "Motherfucker," and then took the hoodie. I shut the door, latched the bolt, and sat on the floor with my back against it. I kept the lamp on. After that, I stayed with a friend, Lyra, in Portland for a while, and then a cousin in Chicago. I changed my route to work and bought a door alarm. I told my neighbor, Tamsin Crove, and she said maybe it was someone confused or a simple prank. She brought me a ceramic bird that looked like it had been glued back together and said, "This will scare the squirrels." I laughed and felt like a fool. When I came back months later, the prints were there again. They went to my door, stopped, and walked away. I never saw the person's face clearly. The police checked and saw nothing. Weller called once to say he had driven by in fog and there was nobody about. He sounded tired. Now when fog rolls in, I plan small moves. Which window I'll shove a chair under, which alley I will run down, how I will hold Pill so she does not bolt. I listen for shoes on the sidewalk and for the river to breathe. Sometimes I find a twig or a small stone placed like a marker by a print. Sometimes there is nothing. I still sleep with a lamp on. I do not have a neat ending. I do not know if the person in the fog was testing me or if they were only a stranger who thought my hoodie looked warm. I do not know why the prints stop at my door and never go further. All I know is that fog hides things. It makes faces soft and quick to vanish. It makes a city feel like an animal breathing. If you wait in a shelter and the river fog comes, check your coat and the shoes that ride the late bus. Tell your neighbor what you see. Leave a light on. Small things matter. They are the little defenses we build when the night feels wrong. There was one more odd thing. A week after the first prints, I passed a small thrift shop and saw the same shoe in the window. It sat by some old records. I went in and pointed. The owner had a name tag that said Rye. He shrugged and said shoes come and go. I remember the shoe because it was muddy in the same way. The bus driver once asked me, "You all right?" I said yes, and he looked away. He had a tin on the dash and a scar on his cheek. I told him about the prints, and he only said, "Fog does things." Lyra said drivers see a lot. She was right. Small talks like that do not solve much. They did not stop the prints. They did not make the hoodie smell like shelter smoke any less strange, but they made the nights feel less empty. I lock the deadbolt and leave the lamp. I let Pill nap on the chair and say I'm fine, for now. Nobody warns you that the scariest thing isn't a monster hiding in the dark. It's the moment you realize people around you are quietly rewriting what actually happened and using the fog as their cover. I'm not really the type to talk about stuff like this. I work at a dental office in Columbus, Ohio. I have a neighbor named Prescott who waves at me every morning, and I always wave back even though I don't really like him. Normal life, you know? So when our neighborhood group organized a late cleanup night, I signed up. The fog that night was something else. Not the light kind that sits low on the ground. It was thick, like the air had gotten lazy and just sat there. The sodium lamps made it worse, turned everything this gross yellow color. We were maybe 12 people walking around with flashlights near the Denton Park area, picking up cigarette butts and fast food wrappers. My job was to lock the supply shed at the end. Always my job. I locked it, checked it twice, and took a photo because the latch felt a little loose. Timestamp and everything. 11:43 p.m., then I went home. Next morning, Prescott knocked on my door, said I left the shed open and a broom was missing. He had that calm, disappointed tone that's somehow worse than yelling. I showed him the photo. He squinted, nodded slowly, and said, just then walked back to his yard. I thought it was over. It wasn't. 3 days later, a woman from the group named Lourdes messaged me saying she saw me leave the shed open. Said I looked distracted. She was nice about it, kept saying we all make mistakes. But Lourdes wasn't even near the shed that night. She was by the recycling bins on the other side of the park. The fog was thick, but not that thick. I mentioned the photo. She said timestamps can be wrong. Phones glitch sometimes. Okay, fine. Then someone posted in the neighborhood group, from what looked like my account, saying I forgot to secure things properly. I never wrote that. Checked my login activity, my phone history. Nothing. But there it was. My name. My profile picture. Words I never typed. I started keeping notes. Little logs on my phone, time, date, what happened. It felt paranoid while I was doing it. My coworker Draxtel laughed when I told him. "Bro, it's just a broom," he said. He wasn't wrong, but it wasn't about the broom anymore. Then the voicemail showed up, on my own phone. My own voice, apologizing to someone named Quinvara for causing confusion about the shed situation. I don't know Quinvara well enough to call her. I definitely didn't leave that message. I played it 4 times in my kitchen just to be sure. I brought everything to the group chat. The photo, the voicemail screenshot, the full timeline. Someone named Brefton, who I'd seen maybe twice in my life, said my photo looked edited because of the lighting. Another person said the voicemail was probably old, something I forgot about, and people just believed them. The whole thread shifted. Suddenly, I was the one being defensive. Suddenly, I was making a big deal out of nothing. The fog that night wasn't just weather. That's what I keep coming back to. It gave everyone permission to be unsure. To say visibility was bad, and who can really remember? It turned solid facts into maybes. Made my photo, my timestamps, my own damn memory, negotiable. I still live in the same area. Still see Prescott most mornings. He still waves. I still wave back. But I leave a voice recorder running every time I lock that shed now. I don't know who rearranged things that night. I don't know if Lourdes genuinely believes what she told me. I don't know how that voicemail got made. What I do know is that the fog didn't scare me because I couldn't see through it. It scared me because other people used it to stop seeing clearly, and it felt like they chose to.